So, I've been doing this YouTube thing for quite some time now, and one of my favorite things about all of this are the responses from you guys. There's just so much positivity and encouragement, and it's really endearing to see. I am so sorry, please don't leave me. But with all of these responses, I actually received a fair few questions too. Now, nothing major, mostly just asking about how I make my videos, or what my favorite book is, or maybe what my mother's maiden name is, or what my credit card number is, or, something about pins. Wait a minute. But one question that appears almost on a daily basis is, "Hey Ty, are you a furry?" No. No, right? I mean, I don't consider myself a furry, but everybody keeps asking, or at the very least, hinting at it, or even just flat out assuming that I am. What if they're right? What if I've been living a lie this entire time? It's kind of like waking up one morning and looking in the mirror and realizing that you've had 2 ears on the side of your head this entire time. Wait, I'm a deer? So today, we're gonna ask the question of whether or not I'm a furry. Yes, this is what I do with my spare time, so let's just get started. So before I can actually determine whether or not I'm a furry, we kinda need to know what a furry really is, and how they actually got here. After a quick search, I was actually pretty surprised to see that Google actually had a definition for these guys. So let's just see what it says.
An enthusiast for animal characters with human characteristics, in particular a person who dresses up in costume as such a character or uses one as an avatar online.
Thanks, Google. So that's a pretty good definition. Short and sweet, but I think it misses out on a major key factor of being part of the furry fandom. You see, the furry community is, well, a community, a fandom, a subculture. And while we can't figure out exactly how many furries there are, like you can the population of a country, it's safe to say that there are a lot of them, enough to host large fan groups such as websites and forums, and even to have large conventions and gatherings. They're a big group of people, huge, and it's difficult to ignore their impact, especially on the internet. I think one of the key things that's allowed this community to remain relevant and strong for all of these years is the fact that they aren't really tied to any one show, movie, or series. Animals are, well, always going to be relevant, and I think that's been a key factor for the longevity of this fandom. You see, the whole idea of furries has actually been around for quite a long time. It's kind of hard to say when it all started exactly, but most tend to agree that furries really began seeing themselves as their own community all the way back in the 80s and 90s. And it's really not hard to see why. While I'm not suggesting that this was the sole reason responsible, it's hard to ignore that some very popular animated animal shows and movies were released in these 2 decades and onwards. And I know some friends who happen to be furries have told me that their interest in the community came from some of these. Very interesting. Furries are probably most visibly known for their dressing up and costume aspects of their community, specifically what they call fursuits. It's certainly what pops into my head when I think of furries, and it's probably what first introduced you to their community too. And let me tell you, they take their fursuits seriously. In a lot of ways, it's like an art form, and a lot of detail, time, and care go into the making of these suits. And just imagine the absolute torture you would go through wearing one of these things on like a hot summer day. Absolutely cooking. Although, I bet winter is a great time though. And speaking of art forms, the furry fandom seems to have a very strong art community within it, including the very talented gentleman behind the thumbnails for my videos. So I don't think it can be stressed enough, the community has a tremendous amount of talented artists within its ranks. A very, very creative group. Okay, so we just learned a fair bit, dipped our feet into the water here, but let's get back to the matter at hand. Am I a furry? Well, let's see. So addressing the elephant in the room, or in this case the deer, it may come as a shock to you, but I use a deer character to represent myself online. Here on YouTube, on Twitter, Steam, Twitch, I'm using this adorable antlered fluffy fellow as my face on the internet. That is absolutely something someone in the furry fandom would totally do. So, score 1 for the home team. But that's where the similarities end. I really don't participate in any furry communities, none of those forums or chats. I certainly don't have any plans to attend any furry-related conventions or meetups, and while I think anthropomorphic animals are interesting, I'm not really that crazy for them either. And between you and me, fursuits freak me out a bit. There's just something about the eyes, never blinking, always watching, ugh. In all seriousness, I honestly just don't see myself as part of the furry community. I just think it's a bit disingenuous to consider yourself a furry if you don't really participate in the fandom. Well, maybe I'm just a furry light or someone in denial, but yeah. I'll take, why does it even matter for 200, Alex? That's a good question, actually. Why does it matter? Well, it doesn't. I mean, whether I'm a furry or not doesn't really change how I go about my day or what I do here on YouTube, and I'd wager that it hasn't caused any chaos in your life either. I mostly just wanted to clear the air of some of the confusion since there were a lot of you asking. Again though, I think it's just disingenuous to call yourself a part of a community when you don't really interact with it. But that's just me. Ultimately, it's up to you yourself whether you feel that you are a part of the fandom. But what do I think of furries? Honestly, I think that they're a really, really cool bunch. Some of my closest friends are furries, and I've always had a really great experience interacting with their fandom. I think the media and the reporting on them has typically been very, very negative, focusing more on some of the controversies and rumors that surround that community, which in most cases is just completely unjustified. They get a really, really bad rap, and it's just a massive shame. The furry community, yeah, it has its issues, sure. There's no denying that, but by far the supreme majority of them are kind, generous, creative, and yeah, a couple shades of weird. Weird. Yeah, that's a pretty good word to use here. The furry community isn't normal. They aren't a conventional fandom, but I think that they, and pardon the pun, they relish being the underdogs. Yes, they aren't perfect. No community truly is. But I've always been impressed by the creativity they display, that boundless confidence needed to dress up in public and to just be yourself, that overarching acceptance of everyone. Yeah, I like that. So, now I want to hear from you. Are you a furry? And what are your experiences with the furry fandom? Let me know in the comment section below. I really love hearing what you have to say. But with that, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, then be sure to leave a like. As well, don't forget to subscribe. It helps support me for free, and it only takes a click. You can also find me outside of the show on DeviantArt and Twitter. I post extra content there. Oh, and join my Discord server too. All of those links are in the description. But with that, thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you all later. This is Tyandaga signing out.